Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek VR news for August 25th. And just going to start with a quick blurb on Nvidia. So a few days ago, a couple of you mentioned to me having issues with your Nvidia card. And it was performance in games and just weird kind of stability issues. And I didn't kind of connect it at that time, but the next day especially, I started noticing I was getting a lot of black screens, just idling, and I was getting black screens. So I was thinking, okay, the computer is on, but I don't have graphics. What the hell's going on here? So I used one of the two programs that I recommend everyone have. They're free. It's CPU-Z and GPU-Z, or Z, depending on where you're from. What's beautiful about these programs, other than being free, is the fact that they have sensors on them, sensor tabs, to allow you to see the temperature of your equipment. So yeah, my card was idling in the high 80s, low 90s, which is usually something that only happens after intense gaming on a really hot day with a fan that's dialed back, right? Normally I'm in the high 40s, low 50s. So I rolled back to the previous driver from July 14th, problem solved, right? So if there's anybody having stability issues right now, check with an Nvidia card, check your driver version and try rolling back. See if it helps you like it helped me. First story has to do with Dexmo, and I reported on them within the last couple of days. That's that haptic force feedback exoskeleton glove, right? That had those pistons attached to the fingers. And there were a lot of unanswered questions about that. I mean, the thing looked damn cool, right? But people, myself included, were wondering, okay, well, how the hell does it actually work? And anyways, Dexmo has released additional information today that clarifies exactly how it does work. I'm going to read some quotes here, some exact quotes. First one is, and this is from Dexta. Dexta physically pulls back your fingers to fit the shape, this is for grabbing something, right? To fit the shape of the virtual objects, and it dynamically changes the force applied to simulate their stiffness. So again, it's pulling back your fingers, right? And then holding them in that position. Then they go on to say it can also simulate the clicky sensation of a button or trigger. It can simulate the shape of a knob and even allow you to grasp and turn it, which is amazing. Like that is an awesome feature. They still didn't answer one question, and Tom, one of the viewers on this channel, asked them point blank, what the hell's the cost? I don't think he said it that way, but he did ask what the cost was and exactly what is the cost, right? That's going to be huge in determining if this thing picks up, has market, mass market potential. Personally, my recommendation would be just wait and see. Let's see where the dust settles, what direction a peripheral is going in, right? And more importantly, how does this, still more unanswered questions, actually, like, does it have to be programmed for completely? Because I know you use the existing motion or the existing Vive controller, with them, right? So does that mean that there's a basic level of, support or functionality that you're going to get, or does the SDK have to be used, like I suspect, right? If that's the case, who knows how many games will even use it, right? Making that price point all the more important. I understand they got to make money, but maybe this is a technology that's going to be more for kind of second generation VR, right? As opposed to this first. But hey, we'll see. It's definitely cool. At the end of the day, we will get there. This just might not be the vehicle for it. I hope it is. We're eventually definitely going to get there, just not yet. Next story deals with Hover Junkers, which was a game so many of you razzed me about back in the early days of having my Vive because of the multiplayer aspect and the innovative use of room space VR. So I tried it, had some awesome multiplayer games, but also spent a lot of time literally listening to crickets with nobody joining. Part of that is because I obviously joined the party late. I get that. So it's kind of cool that the devs, Stress Level 0 is their name, are releasing a 1.2 loadout patch. And this thing is huge. It's going to add new guns, including the cheesy and unoriginal quad shot, which, yeah, it's a 4-barrel shotgun, right? Surprise, surprise. It's going to have your own space where you can do target practice, test out your guns and your weapons, and a new character, and his name is Lone Wolf, like a new playable character type. The part that really caught my attention, though, was the added LAN mode. And for any old school gamers, LAN mode was literally the mode for multiplayer, right? Like StarCraft, Diablo, LAN play, that's what it was about. Especially with dial-up in those days, right? Now we've kind of moved away from that. Most gaming is over IP. There's still programs that'll simulate it over LAN or even let you do it over LAN. But by and large, the actual AAA publishers rarely included it as a default option, right? So it's kind of, I know it's kind of maybe a little bit kind of tongue-in-cheek or trying to be funny, but if it's functional, I still think that's pretty cool. And one of the guys even commented, and this is why it's cool, is that, look, can you imagine how much space you would need, right, for this thing? And then he answered his own question and said, but cyber VR cafes, which ding, 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 you win. That's the reason, right? This thing is obviously intended for China, Japan, for that huge growing VR, interactive VR cafe, right, movement that is literally taking China by storm. Like, there's going to be so many of those VR cafes. A game like this would just be awesome, because one thing that's missing with a lot of today's multiplayer, and Vent and programs like that help a little bit, but it's that sense of being in the same space, right? Like when I've got my buddy here gaming on Fridays, when we do multiplayer, there is nothing like the body language of trash talking each other when we're on the arcade, right? Having a game of Street Fighter or whatever. Gloves are freaking off, right? We're nerding it up big time, trash talking each other. That just doesn't translate as well over Vent. I'm sorry, it doesn't, right? So having a place where you could go with your buddies to do stuff like hover junkers, right? Can you imagine that? In the same kind of gym, yelling at each other, trash talking. Anyways, maybe I'm alone in that. Fair enough. I thought it was cool. And if I went to China and it's on my list, I would definitely 100% try that for sure. No hesitation. Next headline deals with HTC, speaking of Vive, and their attempt to entice developers to their Viveport portal, right? Now, we're all familiar with the gaming Vive store. What they're trying to do with Viveport is cater to everything that is not gaming, right? And they claim they've got 7,000 developers. It's in beta in China right now, launched today. They hope to roll it out worldwide in fall, and they're offering prizes, right? And what the prizes are based on, or how you could win, is everything other than games. They've broken down into 5 categories. And those 5 categories are discover, create, connect, watch, and shop, right? So if you come in first place in one of those categories, it's 50,000 US. Second is 30,000. Third is 15,000. Now, if you're an indie game studio, that is a cash infusion that could definitely help. Like a smaller studio like Gaslamp Games, for example, that other than Dungeons of Dreadmore hasn't come out with a game forever. It seems like Clockwork has been in production for, right? That's an infusion of cash. That could definitely help an indie company. So any of you are watching this, check it out. Next headline is a Chinese-themed headline, oddly enough, as we're speaking about China. Let's delve into it a bit more. And what this is, it's called Project Tres. So I don't know if that's French pronounced like Trey, or if it's Tres, or if it's, Z pronunciation, Tres. I don't know. I'm going to call it Project Tres. And it's developed by Winking Entertainment Corp. And it's an adaptation of the 14th century Chinese novel that a lot of you probably know called Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which was also a video game that was ported on pretty much every frickin' console when it came out, over every frickin' version. And there were a lot of versions of this game, right? So having that, but the ability to kind of immerse yourself VR in that setting. Well, the author said it best, okay? The author of the article basically said, with most VR, he wants to break shit. He wants to throw stuff, destroy, right, basically. Case in point, he played Job Simulator. First thing he did was throw food at the waiter. I got to be honest, I did the same, but that was his normal thing, right? With this game, it's only a short demo, but he said he felt this sense of like awe, respect, reverence for this location. He felt he was back in time in China. Luscious, detailed, involving graphics, right? That for him created this amazing sense of presence. So that just sounded awesome, right? So I'm going to check this out. I would love to experience that, because that is one of the strengths in VR that we've talked about on this channel, and it has to do with, historical context, right? Giving you the ability to literally time travel by immersing yourself virtually into that time period. So all kinds of wicked potential with that. Can't wait. The next article deals with VR animation software. And we've touched on stuff like Tilt Brush, right? Some other VR productivity software. What this one is an animation suite. And one of the magazine's technical people the online Upload VR, he built something within 5 minutes. And it was essentially like a little course with almost looked like skyscraper rectangle blocks, right? And 2 motorbike riders on the rooftops. And he animated a sequence where they move along those rooftops with changing camera angles, right? And granted, it looked like something that was whipped up in 5 minutes. It also looked impressive in terms of being viewed in virtual reality, right? So ultimately, I don't think it's going to serve as a full-on dev tool for VR, but I do think it could it could be used as a supplemental aid, right? And what I mean by that is, look, you're not going to use this to create your world, any of that stuff. You need pure code logic to do that. But what you could do is maybe test out a proof of concept, right? I could see a game like Total War, for example. You could build a quick battlefield, right? Test perspective, test things like that. Like, I think for test bedding, awesome, right? Maybe making your own music videos, small video effects. That, I think, is going to be the niche more than as a full-blown development tool, right? But check it out. So again, that's called Tvori, Tvori, or Vori if the T is silent. And next one deals with one of my favorite channels, which is the Cartoon Network and the Swim segment specifically. For anybody who doesn't know, maybe you don't live in North America, maybe you do and you just didn't know, Swim is a block of time on a cartoon channel where they show adult content, right? And a lot of times, until Simpsons and The Family Guy, those are obviously examples of adult animation, right? But a lot of other stuff was really rare to find. Like, you'd have those exceptions, right? But a lot of us who grew up on cartoons, like I grew up on Saturday morning cartoons, Scooby-Doo, Super Friends, all that kind of stuff, there really wasn't an adult equivalent back then. Like, cartoons in North America back then were strictly, and in Europe too, for kids, right? So it was nice to see the influence that anime has had on creating more adult content, right? And one of the cool Swim things that I liked, and this is going to lead into the VR, is Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Me personally, love that show. Carl, awesome. Role model? Probably not. Funny as hell character, right? Anyways, Rick and Morty was a show on Swim, another adult cartoon. One of the creators of that, his name is Justin Roiland, right? So he has partnered with an ex-Epic Games executive producer, her name is Tanya Watson, to create their own studio called Squanchtendo, which I know isn't the most original name. Obviously, you play on Nintendo, but they're going to focus on virtual reality content. And it's going to have an adult kind of subtext to it, flavor, right? They're going to focus on character development, voiceovers, all things that I think are critically important in VR, right? So are they going to go the way of the 100+ other indie dev companies that are going to come and go in VR? Hopefully not. Hopefully they stick around. But until they come up with something, we won't know. So I'm going to be watching these guys, see what they can come up with. Last story deals with it's celebrating the 100th anniversary of the United States National Park System. And this caught my eye because it was a collaboration between National Geographic, Oculus, the White House, the park system, to create a virtual reality, or moreover, a 360-degree, see, even I get caught up in that, not a VR, but a 360-degree experience, which is, a subset of VR, right? Best viewed with virtual reality gear, of like the national parks, a quick tour. So they used President Obama. He's highlighting some parks. It's 10 minutes long. It's free. It'll be in the link below. Go check it out if you've got some time and, of course, desire. Maybe public parks and outdoors isn't your thing, right? Cool enough. Anyways, guys, as always, cheers, and we will catch you on the flip side.